Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went in there? Or maybe you've had one of those moments where someone says, "Remember when we did that?" And your mind just draws a blank? Don't worry. It happens to all of us, and more often as we get older. But here's the thing. Just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. And more importantly, it doesn't mean it's inevitable. Our minds are a lot like gardens. When we tend to them, feed them well, give them stimulation, remove the weeds, they thrive. But when we neglect them, even a little, they can start to feel slow, foggy, and just not quite as sharp as they used to be. The good news? You can absolutely stay mentally sharp well into your 70s, 80s, and even beyond. But there are few habits and everyday mistakes that quietly chip away at our brain power over time. And most people don't even realize they're doing them. In today's video, we're going to have an honest chat about 5 of the most common mistakes that can hurt your memory, focus, and mental clarity after 60. These aren't big, dramatic issues. They're little things that sneak into your daily routine and slowly dull your spark. But once you know what to watch for, you can make a few simple changes that could keep your mind feeling clear, confident, and in control. Let's start with something that might surprise you. A lot of people think staying mentally active means doing crossword puzzles, reading the news, or playing word games. And yes, those are great, but there's something even more basic that often gets overlooked. And that's not giving your brain enough variety. When we fall into the same routines every day, wake up, eat the same breakfast, watch the same shows, talk to the same people, our brain doesn't get challenged. It's comfortable, but comfort isn't the same as stimulation. The brain loves novelty. It thrives on learning new things, solving little problems, and having to adapt. When we do something unfamiliar, like try a new recipe, learning a few words in a different language, or even driving a different route to the grocery store, it wakes up new parts of the brain and keeps those neural pathways strong. So, one of the first mistakes to watch for is falling into mental autopilot. And I get it, routines are cozy, but too much sameness can lead to mental stagnation. You don't need to turn your life upside down, but even tiny changes can help. Think of it like giving your brain a little morning stretch. Read about a new topic. Ask someone about their hobby. Try brushing your teeth with your non-dominant hand. Sounds silly, but it works. Another mistake that quietly drains our brain power is one that's very common after retirement: social isolation. Now, I know not everyone enjoys being the life of the party, and that's perfectly okay. But even if you're someone who loves their peace and quiet, human connection still plays a powerful role in brain health. When we talk with others, really talk, not just the weather, we engage memory, language, reasoning, and emotion all at once. When we spend too much time alone, it's not just our mood that suffers. It's our cognitive function too. You might find yourself forgetting words more often or feeling a bit foggy. But when we have even short, meaningful conversations, whether to chat with a neighbor, a phone call with a friend, or joining a book club, it helps keep the mind engaged and emotionally balanced. And that emotional side is important. Loneliness isn't just unpleasant. It can be just as harmful to the brain as poor diet or lack of sleep. And that brings us to another sneaky mistake: underestimating the role of sleep. A lot of folks over 60 think that it's normal to sleep less as you age. And while sleep patterns do change a bit, that doesn't mean poor sleep is okay. In fact, sleep is when the brain gets to clean itself up, literally. It processes memories, clears out toxins, and resets for the next day. If you're constantly waking up tired, struggling to stay asleep, or having restless nights, it's not just affecting your energy, it's likely affecting your memory too. You might notice you're more forgetful, less focused, or even more irritable. So if sleep's been tricky lately, it's worth taking a closer look. Maybe it's too much caffeine late in the day, too much screen time before bed, or maybe you just need a calming evening routine. Whatever it is, prioritizing sleep is one of the best gifts you can give your brain. Now that we talked about mental autopilot, the importance of connection, and the power of sleep, let's move on to another often overlooked factor that plays a huge role in keeping your mind sharp: what we put into our bodies. Yep, we're talking about food. Now, you might be thinking, I eat just fine, and maybe you do, but let's take a moment to really think about what fuels the brain. Because another common mistake that affects mental sharpness is ignoring nutrition. not just eating enough, but eating the right kinds of foods to support brain health. You see, the brain is like a high-performance engine. It needs quality fuel to run well. But too often, we fall into habits that might not seem like a big deal. Grabbing processed snacks, skipping meals, or leaning too heavily on sugar or starchy comfort foods. They taste good in the moment, sure, but over time they can slow down your thinking, affect your mood, and even increase your risk of cognitive decline. One of the best things you can do for your brain is to nourish it with real, whole foods. Think colorful fruits and vegetables, leafy greens, nuts, fatty fish like salmon, olive oil, eggs, berries. Foods that are rich in antioxidants, healthy fats, and nutrients like vitamin B12, folate, and omega-3s. These aren't just health fads. There's solid science behind them. They reduce inflammation, support blood flow to the brain, and help protect memory. And don't worry, this doesn't mean you have to give up all your favorite treats. It's not about perfection. It's about being more mindful and intentional with what goes on your plate. Maybe that means swapping white bread for whole grain, or choosing a handful of walnuts instead of a bag of chips now and then. Small steps, but they add up. Another little-known mistake that can quietly affect mental sharpness is a lack of movement. And no, I'm not just talking about hitting the gym or going for long walks, though those are wonderful, of course. What I'm talking about is a tendency to sit a lot. We spend more time sitting than we realize, watching TV, reading, eating, even socializing. And while relaxing is important, too much sitting, especially over long stretches, can actually reduce blood flow to the brain. And when blood flow slows down, oxygen and nutrients don't get where they need to go as efficiently. That can mean sluggish thinking, poor focus, and even faster cognitive aging. But the good news is, we don't need to run marathons to keep the brain sharp. Just moving your body regularly, light stretching, a short walk around the block, some gentle yoga or Tai Chi can do wonders. Even standing up and doing a few arm circles or shoulder rolls during commercials can wake up the body and the mind. It's not about exercise in the traditional sense. It's about movement. Frequent, gentle, enjoyable movement. And here's a little tip. Try combining movement with something fun. Put on some music and dance in the living room. Walk while listening to an audiobook. Do some gardening. The more enjoyable it feels, the more likely you are to stick with it. And trust me, your brain will thank you. Now, all of this leads us to a mistake that's very common, but often hidden. Not managing stress. Now, stress is a tricky one. It can sneak into your life in quiet ways. Worry about family, health, money, or even the state of the world. And while some stress is part of being human, too much of it, especially over time, can truly wear down your brain. Chronic stress releases a hormone called cortisol. And while cortisol is helpful in small bursts, when it's constantly elevated, it actually shrinks parts of the brain responsible for memory and learning. You might notice it in small ways: trouble concentrating, feeling overwhelmed, or forgetting simple things more often. So what do? Well, we can't erase stress completely, but we can find ways to manage it better. That might mean setting boundaries, making time for things you enjoy, or practicing relaxation techniques. Something as simple as a few deep breaths, a cup of tea on the porch, or a few quiet minutes of journaling can shift your whole state of mind. And don't underestimate the power of laughter. Yes, really. Laughing boosts mood, reduces stress hormones, and gives your brain a feel-good reset. So watch that silly comedy. Call up a friend who makes you laugh, or just let yourself be a little goofy sometimes. It's good for the soul and the brain. So far, we've looked at how mental autopilot, isolation, sleep issues, poor nutrition, lack of movement, and unmanaged stress can all slowly chip away at your sharpness. But don't let that overwhelm you, because the beauty of all this is that you have more control than you think. These aren't giant, impossible changes. They're small, doable shifts that can make your days feel clearer, calmer, and more connected. Let's keep going and explore one final mistake. One that's easy to overlook but can have a surprisingly big impact on how sharp, confident, and alert you feel. How sharp, confident, and alert you feel. That final mistake? Believing that it's too late to challenge your brain. It's something I hear all the time. I'm too old to learn something new. Or my memory just isn't what it used to be, So why bother? And honestly, I get it. When you spent years or even decades in certain routines, the idea of stretching your mind in new ways can feel a little intimidating. But here's the truth. Your brain is still capable of growth. Yes, even now. And the worst thing we can do is stop feeding it new experiences. You see, the brain thrives on challenge. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it stays. But if you keep doing the same mental tasks over and over, watching the same programs, reading the same kinds of books, having the same conversations, your brain isn't being pushed to grow. It's just coasting. And that's when it starts to lose its sharpness. But it doesn't have to be a big, scary change. It can be as simple as trying a new hobby, learning a few words in a different language, picking up an instrument, doing puzzles, or even trying to cook a new recipe without looking at the instructions. You're not aiming for perfection. You're just waking your brain up and asking it to do something unfamiliar. And that process, that's what keeps it young. What's really exciting is how quickly you can feel the benefits. People who actively engage in lifelong learning often report feeling more mentally alert, more engaged with life, and even more hopeful about the future. And that's a big deal, because staying mentally sharp isn't just about memory. It's about confidence. It's about staying connected to your world. It's about living fully, instead of just getting through the day. I know it can feel easier to stick to what's comfortable, but comfort can slowly turn into mental dullness if we're not careful. So don't let fear or doubt hold you back. Try something new this week. Even if you're a little clumsy at first or it feels awkward, that's okay. That's part of the magic. That's your brain learning, adapting, and staying alive. Now, I want to say something that might be the most important part of all of this. And it's not a mistake exactly, but more of a belief that can silently harm our mental sharpness. And that's the idea that our best years are behind us, that we're somehow past our prime, that we're no longer as valuable, vibrant, or capable. Let me tell you something. That couldn't be further from the truth. You have a lifetime of wisdom. You've weathered storms, adapted to change, loved deeply, and probably helped more people than you even realize. That kind of experience is powerful. And the brain doesn't forget how to be alive just because we've added a few candles to the birthday cake. In fact, many people find that they're more creative, more thoughtful, and more open to new ideas in their 60s, 70s, and beyond because the pressure to prove yourself starts to fade. You're free to be curious, to learn for the joy of it, and to take on challenges just because you want to, not because you have to. So if there's one thing I hope you take away from this conversation, it's this. Staying mentally sharp isn't about doing brain games or taking memory pills. It's about living in a way that keeps you engaged with yourself, with others, with the world around you. It's about being awake, being present, and believing that your brain still matters. Sure, we all forget things now and then. That's human. But don't let those little lapses convince you that your mind is slipping away. Instead, let them be a gentle reminder to take care of that amazing brain of yours. Nourish it, move it, challenge it, rest it, and most of all, believe in it, because you are still capable of learning. You are still capable of growing, and you are absolutely still capable of living a mentally sharp, vibrant life. So whether you're picking up a paintbrush for the first time, joining a book club, calling an old friend, or just choosing to get outside for a walk with a clear mind and an open heart, every one of those choices helps you stay mentally strong. And before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time to care about your mind, your health, and your future. That kind of commitment is inspiring. It's what creates real change. And I truly hope you feel proud of yourself for showing up. If this message resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. What's one small change you're going to make to support your mental sharpness? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love hearing your stories. And if you found this helpful, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone else who might need to hear this today. Here's to living boldly, thinking clearly, and celebrating every chapter of life with energy, curiosity, and joy. Because staying sharp isn't about age, it's about attitude.